of the same in the country. Let's move to that.
Thank you again, Malika, for having me. It's been an excellent 4 months. We have had over at least 3,000 applications.
Okay.
We have over 500 active trading accounts. And what's come out from the last 4 months is we have Kenyans from all ages. We have Kenyans from Western Kenya, we have Kenyans from Nairobi, we have Kenyans from Central Kenya, and there's a lot of interest that's been emanated in that. I think we look forward to offering Kenyans alternative asset classes than the traditional equities, fixed income and cash opportunities that they had, and that's what we are trying to do here in Kenya. It's been a very exciting period. The regulator has been very supportive of us. We've done this journey together. We're doing a lot of investor awareness, a lot of investor education as well. So we look forward to the journey, and we hope to have a lot more Kenyans sign up.
Great. So as we talk about this, actually we recently, of course, took a poll on Twitter asking people, do you engage in Forex trading in general? And if no, why? So we saw that 28% said yes, but majority said no, and that's 72%. So what does that tell you? And what do you already know about the uptake of Forex trading and online Forex trading within the country?
Okay. Yeah, actually, that Twitter poll is fairly reflective of what we've seen since we started operations. What is interesting is it's a fairly nascent product for the wider population. What you typically find is more urban Kenyan who's got exposure into financial markets that has that sort of interest, and that's where we are seeing the opportunities. The other 72%, and that's where we are saying we want to build an army of investors that can look at alternatives. So it's very critical for us to do a couple of things, as I said earlier. One is investor education. Two is continuously partner with training partners that have the necessary material to uplift Kenyans to understand what sort of alternative asset classes are these, how can they get in, how do they appreciate a lot more on the financial services market, a lot more about what's happening in the global financial markets, so that they can appreciate what we're offering them. So we look forward to that partnership, and I'm happy to hear that there's 72, because that's a big market opportunity for me as well.
All right. And actually some of the responses we got, like Brian Mayo, who said, no, it's not reliable and transparent. We had Simon Govey say it's a massive risk. You should not play in that world unless you know what's going on. So clearly there is this lack of investor awareness that you can target, as you say, through education and through building this platform further. But as we talk about that, now in October, you were set to provide a platform for market purchase in foreign exchange, gold and oil, among other commodities that you're licensed to trade in. So what are some of the products that EGM is bringing into the market and that makes you different from other Forex trading companies?
All right. So, for example, we have ability to offer you global indices. Now, today, there's a lot of conversation around things like the Dow Jones industrial, the NASDAQ, the S&P 500, the DAX, the German DAX. What we have that's differentiated for us is, before, Kenyans would have to send money to an offshore mutual fund to try and get exposure into such an asset class as indices. But today, our platform allows you to load on M-Pesa in 5 minutes, have exposure into US markets, take your profit at the end of the day, convert that money back through our bank, and put that money back into your M-Pesa. So our differentiator is we are leveraging a lot more on technology to offer Kenyans, one, a simplified, and two, just as what Brian has said, a transparent and orderly trading environment. Because what has happened is there's always these global brokers that have come into Kenya, and they know Kenyans like new things. So they'll always like to package it in a way that you can send your money offshore, but you don't have any visibility, you don't have any recourse if that broker goes down. So what are we doing differently? We are putting money in Kenya. There's no money that's leaving Kenya, so even the central bank has ability to grow its Forex reserves without people having to send money to places like Bermuda or St. Vincent. The other thing that is very important for us is we are partnering to show people that you can get exposure in things like gold. We are going to start in 2019, we're going to offer single stock. So if Malika, for example, wants to trade in Amazon shares, she will be able to just load her M-Pesa or send money from her bank and start trading in that. And that's the differentiator that we're looking at.
All right. And one of the greatest, I think, stigma that follows this particular sector of finance is the fact that there's so many fraudulent websites operating, saying that, hey, you can trade online with the Forex and, you can make a lot of money. And there's this whole sort of gambling aspect to it brought through such websites. Now, we know, of course, you are the only licensed by CMA Securities to provide this service within the country. But what do you think needs to be done to curb that sort of, those websites?
Okay, I think there's, I think it's a multi-agency concerted effort beyond the CMA, because there are other aspects that come into play, like there are people who are willing to take what you call third-party money, which introduces significant anti-money laundering and probably terrorism financing angles. So I think for us to curb this fraudulent, there's Communications Authority of Kenya needs to look at what sort of websites are these that are attracting people and talk to the ISPs and say, hey, look, we are working in a regulated environment. You should be able to only take advertisements from regulated entities. That's one. Then, of course, CMA, continuous investor education. And then, of course, the criminal agencies need to also look at what are the aspects that would play into this from a terrorism perspective as well.
Okay. Thank you so much, Kevin, for shedding light on a lot of the issues surrounding this particular scenario.
Thank you so much for your time, and I do appreciate it.
Okay. Well, Well, it was my pleasure to speak to Kevin Nganga, the CEO of EGM Securities there, who shed some light on online Forex trading within the country. But, of course, our time's up.